Ja. Dass wir das Mikrofon haben, oder?
No, it's okay. I hope it works. No idea. It's not. Wait. Oh no. The digital Quelle. Okay. So, okay. Wurde nicht erkannt. Warte mal, ich mach's mal mit dem HTML.
War nicht schon funktioniert?
Nee. Probier mal kurz mit dem HTML. Yeah, that's like the full demonstration, right? But he had to his presentation without notes. And he's like winging the whole thing. We had to prepare. Let's try if it works. Na, warte mal, ich start mal. Yeah. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, so I just keep on with the other one. Try this one. Okay, so let's keep yours. Da, was ist das nochmal dran? Ja, das kann ich schon. I keep the notes here. Now we wait until it's opening. Yes. Come on. Okay, just a few words to me. I'm an architect and I'm super nervous representing here the wooden industry and the timber industry. It's like it's very weird to see all the professionals sitting here. But yeah, I'm the head of the Institute for Digital Construction and Wood Industry of the BFH. It's a really exciting thing to do, honestly. BFH has a long tradition in wood and timber construction. We are involved in many projects. We are probably not that visible, but we are a good foundation for the wood industry in Switzerland. My claim is like 90% of all the people who are working in industry have some sort of connection to us. If you say Biel, everybody knows where it is, everybody knows what we do, and so on. So I'm very proud, but also very humbled to stay here in front of you and talk about the wooden industry in Switzerland to you. So I just like look at all the friendly faces, and if they kind of like nod, I also asked Kai already, like he has to nod that everything that I say is right. Or valid, right? But let me just start with my journey in this wooden industry. Since 1 year, I had this position and I had to visit a lot of things. And I just want to like shift this focus. So this is very sad, me visiting very sad. With a Swiss kitchen builder, they have some sort of gamification and reward system to include unskilled labor and maintenance. And so they identified as digitally skilled, equipped people to push them further up the ladder. Amazing. Next company, Losli AG, a furniture manufacturer who included a sustainability index in their configurator system. So you can have your design well informed in terms of sustainability. They're trying to push this towards a standard within the wood industry. Amazing. We have Curator Group. They're managing 3 shifts of workers across production, materials, supply, logistics, lacking complexity, like linking complexity with really strategic organization. Next one, Balteschwiler. Markus is sitting around here. They have a huge processes CNC components for a wide range of timber companies, serving small and huge companies, bridging all these like different formats and accumulations of things. He's gonna talk about his challenges doing that later on. Next one, Kalt AG. These guys are crazy. They have a food truck coming to their facilities because they're so remote. They're like in an agricultural setting. It's like super like far off the end, but they still manage to have a really well-organized production setting. They're expanding to the ground, into the ground. They kind of like make a basement, like for a second story for their whole production setting. And they work with coders to have a calculation tool, like just themselves. Like they kind of ask, yeah, I have a friend, he's like a coder, he's in informatics, and he's like, let's like just code something. And super successful, I'm using it. and it's amazing. Next one, we have Costa G. These guys are crazy. They have a corporate identity color, and they force manufacturers. Where's Technowood? I don't know. Like, there's one guy. They had like to like paint their machines in the CI color, because they claim they want to have a beautiful workspace and they don't want to be disturbed by all the different corporate colors of the machine. Amazing, right? I don't know. I think for me as an architect, I take pride in that. Pride in that. So we have Nikki Holzschindeln. These guys have a strong network of 200 plus agriculture, like how do you call them? Bauern, like really people who are working, farmers who are splitting, hand split shingles for them during winter season, right? And they maintain this network in order to get all the material supply for their growing demand on this very, very traditional craftsmanship shingles. We visited them. It was super nice, like looking how they work. It's heartwarming. Then here again, Costa G, they invest, they kind of like invest in education, and they allowed their apprentices to design their teaching and educational workbenches and workplaces. And they kind of like took advantage of their like personality. They wanted like to have this really nice educational lab for them. I could go on and on, but like another one, Scher Holzbau, also part of one of our industrial challenges. They're so invested in community. They have like this special building dedicated to cultural and jazz events on their site for free, where they kind of like contribute with cultural events to the community. So this is the wood industry for me, and it's been a really great journey, and I'm waiting like to see more and more of those. And for me, it's really the point, like, why are we here? The question is, coders, how can we strengthen this Swiss wood industry? Like, how can we contribute for this cooperation, everything that Max was saying about, like, how can we enable ourselves to work together to strengthen our let's say market and margins and everything, in order for us to be also profitable, but also like maintain our ground. So first, I just like go quickly, what is the Swiss wood industry, and obviously why should you help it to grow? Swiss timber and wood industry is, I mean, it's wood, right? It's physical. It's growing, and it needs to be cut, and it needs to be manufactured. There's we do have a lot of wood. Like, this is the coverage of all sorts of woods in Switzerland. So there's a lot of percentage of wood which is harvested and grown on Swiss ground, and we can use it. It's a renewable material, right? It has a lot of potential, a lot of versatility, and we should work with that. But even there, we have, again, a very fragmented, and there are a lot of, like, I did not even go to the forest industry, because this is also another thing, right? Like, there are a lot of players in there as well. There are like 8, there's like highly fragmented. We have like a lot of hectares of wood, but they are owned by many, many, many thousands of people. Like, Hans-Uli maybe can tell us more about it. And there's a lot of information on wood and growth and in development. There's a lot of data on that. So there is data there. So what do we do with it? The next part is obviously the life cycle of wood is really very good and positive for the environment, but also like for the whole industry. There's a whole value chain that you can work with wood. You can up until to energy production. You have a lot of possibilities by working with wood. If you see like on this journey how wood, like construction and wood develop, it started like in the like the graph starts in 1780. You have like this very interesting wooden engineering buildings by Grubenmann. It's like the first milestone of wood construction. And then you kind of like see how the timber construction starts to decline due to new technologies, new materials. You see like 90% of all buildings were done in wood, right? And then the whole thing kind of like declines, but they are still like we have some statics application and so on. And then we find like glulam, the invention of glulam, which was already like a game changer for the timber engineering industry. We have the mid-1900s introduction to the engineer wood products, which is also a game changer. We have wood composites, we have panels, and so on. So like all the fiber boards emerged. And then the CLT comes into play. We have a much stronger cross-laminated timber, laminated veneer lumber, increases strength, stability, and so on. So we can build bigger, higher, more stories and so on. And obviously, it's been accompanied, but all these norms and certifications in order to make it happen, right? Like the liberalization of fire protection and so on. So like from 2 stories, we can build up to high rise. And now that's been like a really, really long and like a very short process. If you look at, I just like, you know it, right? If we want to store CO2, wood and timber is the best. And it's not just like the forest itself, but it's really like this industrialized wood production, right? Those are the forests who are having this capacity to store CO2. And also like you need to harvest it, you need to grow it, you need to maintain it. It's a whole industry. It's not about like this romantic thing type of, we need this wood and we go in the forest and then we hug trees. It's an industry and we should be aware of that. There's a lot going on in Lignum is there. So like there's a lot of like associations and things happening in the wood industry to strengthen and enforce it also through legislation and so on. But the part is like it's still quite a small. We don't have like this big of a lobby as concrete or steel and so on. So like the conventional production is still a bit ahead, right? But we are gaining momentum, and there's a lot of things going on. A lot of convention and congresses and all like the mainstream architecture also kind of like shifts towards wood production now more and more. So what are the challenges? We have an increasing demand, especially in education, in bigger buildings for wood construction, like for the structure been done out of wood. So there is this rising demand in wood. So that's a challenge. We have also bigger projects, you know, Flughafen Zurich, the airport, a lot of stakeholders, a lot of wood, a lot of like construction partners and planning partners. So there is a rising complexity in this wooden buildings. The next part is also, it is a highly fragmented industry. You see, we have like over 2,000 companies are just supplying with 1 to 9. I mean, Adita is going to talk about that a little bit as well. So you see, like the majority of the companies are not big. They don't have a digital silo like with people who are developing stuff. There's mostly like one person who is kind of like into code and then it does it. So we have this fragmentation, and another part is like, Kai, look at you, so nice. That's for you. But we have like this highly developed companies with a lot of digital power behind them and a lot of digital skills, and they're pushing in industry and they're also enabling the industry. But we have also Nikki, right? Like these 2 guys making a startup producing the shingles, and they are doing great work. They're super innovative, they're super passionate, but they don't want like to talk about digitalization. It's like the last thing that they need, right? But they could probably profit from it. So like this is where we come into play, where we talk and say, okay, let's look at it pragmatically. You don't need like a whole framework, but maybe it's just like one super clever solution. So there is a gap in digitalization. And what we also have, we have a decreasing number of higher education and timber industry. I mean, we're trying to do our best to do that, but we need to make this job very attractive. So there is a skilled labor shortage. The potentials are great and big. We have like diversity and versatility of wood. I'm not like talking too much about it. Beautiful buildings, heritage, tradition, craftsmanship is super versatile. You can do whatever you want with wood, right? Like right now, it's like everything is possible. We have digital fabrication and planning processes, high degree of prefabrication and precision. So there is a potential in value creation. This is a study of Holzbau Schweiz, where you have the potential to increase the value by 40%, I think, to get to make it in comparison to construction site, like to conventional construction site. So you see, like, there's all this LinkedIn posts about we have like defect free, we deliver that super fast, and so on. So this is a huge potential of the wood industry. We have the fast on-site construction. Again, a comparison. In Regensdorf, we have like this SWAT areal. We have two buildings starting at the same time. The one is with a timber frame. The other one is concrete, and the one with timber is ready by August 2025. The other one year later, and it's the same firm, right? We have like Erne Rot and Erne Blau. This like timber, and it's not the same company, but it kind of, I mean, they started, right? And you know it better. You can correct me. Yeah, it's like a border. It's like a firewall. So yeah, but they kind of like collaborated, and it worked out. And we have also like super fast production, 16 months for creating a multi sports hall. It's right next to our campus. You could like watch it grow by hour. That was really amazing, really cool. So how can we maintain all these key advantages? Defect-free, well-planned, sustainable construction, and simultaneously improve efficiency, margins, and reduce costs across the industry. I mean, it's really about not like how it should be done, but about the details, and they are meticulous. And this is where we're gonna like talk about the challenges. It's not about like we solve the world. It's about what can we do in detail. So what is needed? I think Max already elaborated on that. The team of BFH, we are a small group of people, but we're really passionate. Some of them are well known to the industry. We work on it. You can kind of try to scan the code. I don't know if it works. We are working on 3 specialist groups where we have market research, business management. We have digital fabrication. These guys are here, so the team is there as well. So I'm super happy. Ronnie and Edita are there. And we have integral construction planning processes working on it. And we are embedded within we have an institute for wooden construction. We have an institute for biomaterials and so on. So like there's much more going on around that. We have also an architecture institute. So we all collaborate interdisciplinary on that. So I'm super happy to put together this input session with a focus on wood industry. And we kind of like wanted to start with this very super, how do you call it, provocative idea of like posing this integrative planning. Those are the guys who do everything at one thing, and then we have like this other part of highly fragmented and localized companies. And but the point is, like, while we were talking about it, was amazing how the whole thing kind of like came together, and it was really interesting to see how these people, how we all actually have the same problems and work together with different strategies. And I'm really happy to welcome Judith. Judith is working with Gropyus, and she's going to show their solution and strategies. Let me try. You have a microphone, right? Good. So thanks a lot, and take it away.
Sorry about that. I hope nobody has sensitive ears.
Ich glaube, ja.
I think it's a jacket. Okay. Still?
So,
Yes, no?
probier das. Das geht.
Great.
Look, luckily we prepared everything in advance. Okay.
I'll take this one.
Okay, it's better this way, I think.
Hello? Okay. Great to be here. Yeah, it's an honor to speak here because actually I'm a software engineer, so yeah, pretty new in the AEC industry. So great to be here. Yeah, I'd like to talk or follow up on Katharina's talk. Basically, she was talking about the wood industry, and like we literally, like all of us know, in order to meet our climate targets, it's crucial that we move the construction industry from steel and concrete to timber. Now, there's still this challenge why this is not happening yet. But like maybe a question to the audience first, like what's the percentage of multifamily homes that you believe were based like made from timber or timber hybrid within the last few years in like Germany, Austria, Switzerland region? Any guesses? Approximately 5%. So it's still super low, and we really want to change that. Now, that's why Gropyus, like our vision is creating affordable and sustainable living for everyone. And our offering is to deliver timber hybrid buildings like multifamily homes as turnkey solutions from a single source, meaning like we literally plan them, we manufacture them, and we construct them. Here, just a few visual impressions. And here some sample projects just to point out how versatile it is, despite the fact that we really focus on residential multifamily homes. To the left, we have a building that is like a residential quarter. It's like 9 buildings with 100+ units. In the middle, we have a project in Berlin that is like densification or redensification. So it's a much smaller project, of course, with like 25+ units. And then to the right, we have a tower that is like 8+ stories with like 50+ residential units. Just to give you some impressions. Few words to myself. I'm software engineer by training and architect by heart. So I love architecture, but actually my studies were software engineering. Later on, I specialized in data science, and eventually did my PhD in artificial modeling complex systems with artificial intelligence, and I have like 15+ years of work experience in like the intersection of digital innovation, strategy, and product. Now, what I'd like to talk about is like how our approach at Gropyus is like a bit special in the sense compared to traditional wood and timber industry as we hear it afterwards. So basically, we really want to bring down the costs because that's the major problem why we don't, for multifamily homes especially, why we don't have a larger ratio of buildings based on timber or timber hybrid. And so I will briefly introduce the 5 steps and then go in more depth for each of them. Basically, like the first step is the very basis is the building system that we leverage. It allows us to basically have the kind of standardization that we need. The second thing that we do is we have a holistic view. And yes, we have a fully integrated value chain, but it doesn't matter whether you have that or not. You need to have a holistic view in terms of like designing something where you really consider not just how it's fabricated and how it's assembled, but also what does that mean for procurement, what does that mean for storage costs, and so on. A third aspect is digitalization, like how we, in order to, especially the planning costs, to drive them down for multifamily homes that look very versatile, because they need to be like really optimized in terms of efficiency for a building area or a building site. So you really have to have a lot of digitalization that you can leverage in order to bring down costs. Then I'll show a few impressions of our smart factory, where we have like around 50 cooker robots, manufacturing the different elements. And then also I'll talk about the automation, how you have different levels of automation for different processes depending on their complexity. You sometimes want to like literally drive the automation like as far as that you're leveraging AI, and for some other stuff you just keep it rather simple. So yeah, starting off with the building system. Basically, for the building system, like it's a building system can be very different. Like you can have building systems that are as specialized as the whole building, like literally that you have a building that has exact dimensions, floor plans, and it all looks the same. Like whether this is in single homes that are built in the different locations, or whether it's row houses, and then to the very like this is a maximum standardization and least flexibility. Then to the other extreme end, you have maximum flexibilization and minimal standardization. For example, if you just optimize on or standardize your connections, like literally on a very atomic level, like nuts and bolts. And then you have a lot in between. So in between, you, for example, have like modular construction, where it's like you have single or multi-room modules that are prefabricated. Or you have like elements, like at Gropyus, we have an element-based system, meaning like we have concrete, like we have basically exact built up for the different walls. And at the same time, what's crucial for a building system to really analyze where is the complexity, like where's the highest complexity, and how can you drive down flexibility on those aspects while still having, wherever it's not very complex, have a maximum of flexibility. So what does that mean? For example, walls that are much simpler than, like, for example, bathroom pots, risers, cores, or the like. So you want to be super flexible when it comes to the exact dimensions of the building. But then when it comes to, for example, bathroom pots, you really, really want to engineer the best and make sure your maximal denominator for all the different bathroom pots that still allow you quite a flexibility in terms of whether it's faced towards an outside wall with a window, or whether it's inside, or wherever it is, that it's literally like a large maximal denominator for that before you specialize it out for a specific building. Yeah, so far to the building system. Then the second thing, when it comes to the holistic view, like as I mentioned, like for example, for the bathroom pots, you literally also want to consider logistics. For example, how many bathroom pots can you stock on a truck in order to optimize basically the approach of how you get the prefabricated bathroom pots to your different construction sites. And at the same time, like what I mentioned earlier, is you want to optimize the maximum denominator, because something as complex as bathroom pots, you will prefabricate before you actually maybe sign the project or before you start construction. So you actually bundle, or you put a lot of money in that in your storage. So you want to make sure that you maximize the possibility of how you can later on use a prefabricated bathroom. So this is just a few aspects for the holistic view, like an end-to-end value chain. Then the third thing, like when it comes to digitalization, what really surprised me in the AEC industry as a software engineer, like for software engineering, what's like the very basic is like you have 5 layers. Like it doesn't matter how small your application or like your endeavor that you built is, you would always have 5 layers, like the data layer, data access layer, business logic, application layer, and the presentation layer. And here I had the impression that very often it's like all the business logic is within the application and the data is just like there's no different data model or access control or like it's just a file. Like so I was super surprised by that, because basically like what you want to have as a digital twin is like you want to make sure that you can store all the information, but then depending on the use case, for example, like for producing the elements by the robots, it needs to be super detailed at that stage when it comes to the different elements. So you have like a lot of depth when it comes to the detail and information for the model, but then at the same time, the robots only produce like one element at a time. So basically, you don't look at the whole data at the same time. Versus, for example, at the same stage, when you have an application that wants to optimize the sequencing, whether this is for the production sequence or whether this is for the logistics, you have picking from the same data, you want to optimize for information on an element level, because at that point, I mean, you carry the whole element. It doesn't matter whether it has where exactly the different nuts and bolts are. So something like that, it's like fundamental that you can basically later on, like literally decide in your value chain also how you want to exchange different processes and applications, because sometimes you might have you might leverage a default AEC tool like whether it's Rhino or Revit or the like, which later on you might exchange for your own, like whether it's a configurator, a design tool, or whatever. And this you want to be like it needs to be easily feasible versus, oops, it's I now have to start all from the beginning because all my logic and all my like different calculations and so on are all happening within the tool. So basically that's super fundamental to have that. And one more thing when it comes to the digital twin, like for example, if you consider something like Google Maps, like it's depending on what you are looking at, whether it's on your mobile or on your desktop, you don't have to click all the different layers or now show me that, but it also has some intelligence in terms of what it's pulling from that model and what it's showing you. And so this is that's why it's super critical to have these layers. Then I'm a bit over time, sorry. So basically, well, when it comes to the robots and the smart factory, I think it's not, it's crucial to have a factory at scale if you want to build like 100 plus buildings per year. So versus it's not like some extent of automation is crucial to drive down the price. But since we have a lot of timber wood manufacturers that are producing at profit, it's not what gets the cost down. Of course, at a large scale, yes, but it's crucial in order to provide the volume that later on you might want to have for scaling. And when it comes to the fifth topic, the AI-assisted processes, basically it's really about picking and choosing, like within your whole application or within your whole value chain, what are the processes that are critical to basically to automate at different levels of automation in order to make sure that you can drive down costs and ease the whole process. So I think now there's some Q&A.
Short in time, actually.
Here's some videos. Sorry. Here's some videos which I wanted to show during the Q&A, just to give you a bit more impressions. But I guess so. Hold on. Maybe a few slides about the factory. But yeah, maybe the next person can already come.
In the panel session. Thank you very much, Judith. Yeah, let's try. Bit of feeling for time.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Augustynowicz, and I'm professor for digital fabrication and wood, and also together with Ronnie over here, we are leaders for the group Digitalisation or digital fabrication at the BFH. And together with Markus Fuhrer, we are going to talk today about possibilities for local collaboration in fragmented industrial landscape. And this is extremely exciting topic with enormous potential for innovation. So I hope you're going to grab this vibe from us. The starting point for any kind of discussion, right? Especially in the AEC should be the question. So, which is the biggest question currently? How can we build more efficiently to meet growing housing demand while minimizing environmental impact? So basically it shows this crazy dichotomy in our industry, because we have to build more, but we also have to build such that we are not really damaging the environment. And this is like the very long discussion. And because of the time shortages, I'm going to simplify and jump directly into one of the possible solutions, which is the industrial wood construction. So this is what Judith showed you in her previous presentation. And it's about prefabrication, and it's also about using automated workflows and digital workflows. And it's like, it promises a lot, also like to introduce the sustainable solutions. It also enables us to build bigger buildings, larger constructions, and effectively enter the cities with wooden buildings, which are currently dominated by concrete and steel, right? So sounds beautifully, yet the industrialized timber construction faces scalability issues. And why is that? Well, basically, it requires a huge starting like budget, right? So you have to invest in the large halls to mount these modules in line and to enable different stakeholders to mount electricity while some other guys are doing the gypsum board mounting. It also requires investment into the machines and softwares, and normally these are very expensive machines. And Markus can tell you more about it because he just mounted a huge CNC Anlage in his company. And lastly, something that we should not forget, it's very difficult to get skilled people who can program those machines, who can also operate those machines, and even plan for those machines, right? So these requirements shrink the possibilities or the number of companies who can really afford to do it to just few with the biggest turnover, right? So the biggest ones. And when we take a look at the landscape in the timber construction, which Katarina showed you a little bit, we see that there are very, very few construction companies with over 150 FTEs, right? So only 7 of those. This number is based on the data I got from 2020. I think that there might be more, but still like 7, right? And the 7 companies, they can cover maximum 10% of the need, if not even less, right? And besides that, we have companies that are like over 2,000 companies with up to 9 FTEs, right? And almost 600 companies up to 49 employees. And those companies produce 90% of the buildings, right? They are very well integrated within the regional networks, but they really miss on this digitalization. So how can we enable those companies to work more effectively and efficiently and to kind of contribute to this run? The solution sounds simple, right? Let's distribute the production-enabled companies to collaborate with each other on the bigger projects. It's super simple and logical, right? However, the reason why it's still not widely applicable, that this is very, very complicated to really put it in life. And so it requires new processes, right? New processes for collaboration between those companies. It also requires new business models, so new players in this whole value chain creation. Perhaps companies that can kind of make sure that everything is like put in charge, like in place. We also have to have new building systems with standardized connectors to make sure that we can connect walls from one companies with ceilings of the other companies. And lastly, we also need to have digital interfaces to allow those companies to effectively collaborate with each other, but also the softwares to be able to exchange data efficiently. And because of the character of this event, I'm going to focus on the digital interfaces. And this digital transformation, which is currently happening, enable us to actively work on that. And digitalization is not new in the timber industry. Basically, timber construction sector is the most advanced in terms of digitalization. Since 1980s, when the first CNC machines were introduced, there is basically no sector which is not affected by digitalization. However, the current digital workflows are disrupted. There's very little cooperation between the different systems, and also they're very expensive, so small companies cannot really afford it. So this calls for the open source platforms and interoperable software. And in our research projects within our group, Digitalisation at the BFH, we're trying to research on this topic. Instead of imposing one solution that works for everybody, we're trying to come up with different solutions that are tailored to the complex landscape in the Swiss timber industry. And I'm going to show you two projects which are just starting. This is the building integration platform. This is the project of Ronnie, so I hope I'm not going to butcher it for you. It's the InnoSwiss project which started a year ago. And it really reacts to these fragmented digital systems within the companies. And currently construction companies rely on multiple IT systems for planning, operations, managing supply chain, project management, contracts and production. And the systems do not really communicate with each other, right? And this leads to this data silos and makes the data exchange between manufacturers, suppliers, and construction firms very inefficient, mostly based on manual processes. So what the project proposes is the smart data integration framework that connects these different systems using a connector and enables integration across different enterprise systems using smart data framework, right? The connector is built from the adapter and transformer. It takes the data. I'm looking at Ronnie because he's really the guy who works on that. And I just read the application. So they're taking the data into the standardized structure and ensures that the systems can be interpreted. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Max. Can interpret the information correctly. Smart data framework maps the data from various sources to a unified standard data model, allowing to real-time interoperability. So it provides like a plug and play integration framework for small and medium-sized companies to connect and scale their digital operations efficiently without expensive custom IT developments. Very good. It was accepted. It was accepted. So the second project that I want to show you is the project which is also like InnoSwiss based. In fact, it's the international collaboration with some of the people who are present here, with Fabian, for example, which started in January 2025. So I'm going to show you better our intentions to this project. But in this project, we are addressing the fragmented workflows between various stakeholders in the timber industry. It is so in the current design, I have to go over here. The current design process of the work is very cascading. It's a very linear. So it starts with the architects who's exchanging the data with planners and then with engineers. And then they are translating without really being aware of what the construction companies can provide them, like this over detailed 2D or 3D model to the construction company, which then works with completely different systems. They would work with cadwork that needs completely different level of accuracy, that have to redraw this model again into this abstract volumetric models. And then with the help of this access to the internal material catalogs and element catalogs, they are making a new model and then making an offer to the architects. And as I said already, those companies, the stakeholders, work with different tools. So it's a very kind of manual process of translating one data type to another data type. So what we are offering within this project is the web-based platform that enables architects, planners, and timber manufacturers to collaborate on modular construction projects. The platform consists of multiple microservices, which will enable project partners to collaboratively access the dynamic material catalogs of different companies, as well as components, so these element catalogs, and create project-specific catalogs. It has also this interactive IFC viewer, which enables architects or planners to upload their IFC model and automatically translate it into this volumetric model according to the sizes of the available components. It also will have this AI-powered component matching based on a specific project and element requirements. It will enable smaller companies, hopefully, to collaborate on bigger projects in a way that company A, for example, can provide wall elements and company B ceiling elements. And the platform would also provide the interfaces to various data type compatible with different softwares, native softwares of these different stakeholders, to allow them to integrate those models back to their workflows. Based on this project, we came up with a challenge. One of the challenges, find the connection, and I hope that many of you is going to take part in that. So once again, a small maybe recap of what we think we need to enable to happen, that the smaller companies can work together. So first of all, is this open source in the brackets. Sometimes it has to be proprietary, I think, but let's say open source because of the event and Max sitting here. Digital interfaces, enabling the companies to work seamlessly across many systems. And also, we need systematized processes for collaboration, and not to provide one solution that fits all, because it's impossible, right? So the goal is not to unify the industry, but to embrace the diversity with flexible software interfaces. And like this, I would like to pass now the microphone to Markus, who's going to tell you this from the perspective of a company.
Thank you very much. So, hello, my name is Markus, and I have 3 problems. First of all, my English, that will be your problem during the next few minutes. Second one, I have no clue what a hackathon is. And the third one, I'll show you. So we have many big projects in Switzerland. Some are already built, and some are still to come during till to the end of this decade. Every building on this slide should be built. And we are kind of used to collaborate in the wood industry. But if we collaborate, we have several companies and several data silos. And we always have to negotiate how we share the data between us. And if you zoom in a company like Balteschwiler, even in the company, we have some data silos. We have BORM as one supplier. We have cadwork, Lindenberg, Technowood. And in each silo, we have some valuable data, and we have a kind of data flow from one silo to the other. But as soon as we have to feed information back to the previous silo, we stuck. And we are craftsmen. We can't code. And for us, one interface is Outlook. It's the most common interface. And for sure, we have some tools like tools from design to production to exchange data from supplier A and make it as accessible to our environment. But to be honest, the most used tool in our company is copy-paste. For us, it's a tool. So we have a fragmented and distracted workflow and lots of handwork to do with highly educated people in our company. And we have a bright, colorful data environment and tool environment in our company. And back in 2021, I have had the idea that we should get to a solution that every tool talks to every software backward and forward. And for sure, we can do a known closed solution for us. But as you heard from Max and the other guys, it has some pros and cons. It can be a fast forward process if we have the right people and resources. We can customize problem solving, are in the lead for adjustments. On the cons, we need the right people. We have high costs, and we do local symptom control, and we don't solve the problem at all. So the challenge is to find a solution above all the silos, to gathering all the data, make them accessible to us, to the users in a simple way, and not only for us as a company, more for the whole industry, so that we are able to collaborate on big projects with less effort for our specialized guys in the offices, for the craftsmen. We need systematizations more than standardization. That's a setting from Sasha Schade. He's in the crowd as well and will participate on the challenge as well. The standards are here, but now we need the system to work with them, and you are invited to solve these problems. My name is Marcus. I have 3 problems.
Thank you, Marcus. I really like the perspective that you guys bring in, and that's part of the hackathon, probably, to solve one of your problems. But to talk about these problems more open. And I think it's very interesting that you said you had your vision, you presented it in-house, and then you realized at some point, okay, we could push through, but what happened? Where are we in 5 years with this solution? And I think that's part of the open part in open source, I guess, that we start to talk about it more openly and really talk about the challenges. We have Michael, actually, if you want to come, finishing this session and introducing us a bit of the perspective from a software manufacturer and how you deal with growing demands of API interfaces and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, hello everybody. I tell you a bit about the software provider and about our challenges in the timber construction industry. Yeah, first of all, who am I? I'm working at Cadwork as a software engineer, but in my skill set, I also have some knowledge in the timber construction sector, which helps me a lot. For those that don't know Cadwork, Cadwork is mainly used in the timber construction. We offer 3D, 2D modules, and a bunch of other modules that help people in modeling and construction. Our main business is to bring data geometry from in the beginning, like from a lower detail degree to a highly developed detailed model. Like you need to consider all relevant installations because we create machine data directly from the elements. Yeah, descendants, what goes around comes around, and the idea behind that, or my idea for you behind that, is that you get, like what you model, you get that also when you produce it. Like when you, when you make errors in modeling, and you produce these elements, they're wrong produced, and this is an expensive thing. Cadwork uses, or cadwork does a lot of geometry analysis. That means you can model geometry, manipulate it, and then if you want to export this data to some machine, cadwork runs geometrical analysis and creates the needed parameters for the required CNC machines. Yeah, and this is mainly like the main magic of cadwork. So, and our challenges in the current state is that it get like timber buildings, they get bigger and bigger. And also, luckily, we get more and more 3D models from other sectors like MEP, architecture. And like in timber construction, you are at the very end of the process and you get all this data, you have to bring it together and consider everything for production. Yeah, then there are also some challenges about interoperability. From my perspective, IFC is a really good and great thing, but it has to be used correctly. And what I see, especially from our support guys, is that, yeah, it's just like everyone is just delivering a bunch of data, like you get even the trees or chairs in a construction model. That's also, or brings me also to this challenge about geometry. We get a lot of tessellated bodies, and this is also a challenge because just when you see like a column or beam like this, it has 270 triangles, and yeah, when you try to analyze this data, it's a lot of work to do. Yeah, and one thing that I also notice a lot is that, or what I saw some years ago, or is that people don't talk to each other or don't talk too much. I was always asking myself like about requirements when you are modeling some timber construction or MEP model, you need to ask the other guy, or you need to tell the other guy what you need from him or her, and the other way around. And from my perspective, that's happening too less. Yeah, and also as a software contributor, it is a challenge that these CAD softwares, they are old, or like a lot of things are old, and you need to maintain a lot. And also in these recent years, the software is growing and growing and growing and growing because there are user requests about new features, you add them, but you also need to maintain them. It means you need a lot more people, but you cannot hire that many. So it means you get slower and slower and slower. And yeah, one of our solutions to fight against that was to introduce an API. And that brings me to the solutions. Yeah, as I said, our solution was introducing an API so that our clients can build their own tools on top. Because in timber construction, as we heard before, there are so many different companies and each company is doing the things other than the other one. And therefore it's perfect when they can build their own tools. In the first step, we introduced the C++ API. Maybe just, yeah, I don't need to explain what this code is doing, just as an example. The problem with this is that you don't find that many engineers that either know C++ or want to learn C++. Yeah, that brought us to the next challenge that we had to solve. And then we introduced like the same API, but in Python. And this was really like a game changer for cadwork, because there was a fast growing community. You have a lot of people that at least know a little bit of Python and just try and error and build their tools. This is the exactly same code that I showed before, but in Python, and I guess it's much more readable for most people that don't know C++, but I guess this can read everyone that even don't know programming. And in the meantime, the API was growing very fast, and we have at the moment more than 1,000 functionalities that we offer. So now I just want to give you some examples that were built within the API. Here we bridge the C++ API to C# so that we could connect the BCF SDK from Vim Collab. So that we don't have to build our own BCF manager. We just use the tool that is already existing. This is a plugin that was built completely in Python to map some data from some product deliveries. And here is some tool that we just finished in cooperation with an InnoSwiss, or in an InnoSwiss project in cooperation with the ETH and Incon. And that's about AR timber construction. It was also completely built in Python. And this is just another side project that is also developed by ETH, and they wrapped the cadwork API into their Compass framework. And this is also a very powerful extension for cadwork. And the last thing, that's an InnoSwiss project that recently started. Here we will also hardly work with the cadwork API and try to build a nice tool for a better data exchange between different CAD software. So if you are interested about the API, just check out our repo. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. I think we start with the panel session right now, huh? Discussion now. Just come in front, Michael, you too. Geh auf die Bühne hoch. Bühne hoch, bitte.
Okay. So let's that's not a panel. No. We need
Everyone
to go
on
up.
Stage, please. Just go to the...
We don't need to maintain the order. It's okay.
If you go a little bit further, you're not blinded by the light. So if you just step...
Oh, good.
Yeah, even 1 meter further, then we can see you better.
And then we just like jump and then jump. Yeah, so I don't know. We had really long and interesting discussions. The whole thing started also at the Innsbruck Holzbau Forum. I know that we all kind of like talked about what's really the bottleneck, what are the problems, what are the detailed problems. And I think your starting point was really good, right? To say, okay, I have a problem. This is the concrete problem. Let's not talk about the overall umbrella, but what can we actually contribute? That's why we're here. So do you how do you see it? Do you really think that open source and code and collaboration is the key? Really, if you see you have your people and then you have the other group of people who are providing, what do they have to give you that you can really actually say, okay, this was a value. This was really worth my time coming here, invest my, what has to happen?
If we need less copy-paste at the end, that would be great. And we have carpenters who decide to work in the office sometimes in their career, like me. And we know how to handle a mouse, but we don't know how to handle a code. And we see the problems, but we don't see the professional solution for the problems. And we are lucky at Balteschwiler. We have a guy like Sasha who knows how to handle these things. But as you said, the most companies are too small to have in-house competence for these problems. And if you can use a format like that to bring solutions to the industry where everyone can profit, it's a win.
Sorry, I think it is, right? But what I would really wonder, because you guys have a different situation, right? You're a software engineer. You have like in my imagination, you have like an armada of people coding for you and like optimizing everything and making everything flawless. Like you just push a button, you just make some design in a configurator, and then everything is like on the machine. How do you experience that? Like, is it really the case, or?
I think the imagination is always like you just feed the building land, press a button or two, and then everything already almost gets loaded onto the truck. This is not the case, despite the fact that we are like 400 plus employees, and yeah, with I think maybe 100 software engineers. But it's many problems to solve along the value chain. And so it's really critical how you go about, like when it comes to like literally, I mean, as you mentioned, for example, a configurator. Like at the very beginning, you don't have this configurator with exactly those elements of your building system, because your building system might not cover 100% of the buildings that you are going to or try to win, basically, because it might have limitations, and so literally you have to leverage so many different tools and really figure out, okay, how do you interact with the data from the different in the different tools, and what do you feed in? How should a perfect workflow look like? And I think we have still a long way to go to this one button, but yeah, we're on it. So,
you guys, I don't know if you have questions. I think it would be great also to have some questions from the audience. I don't know, some of you guys were already talking on the side. I don't know, maybe you have some interesting ideas, because we have people, Michael, you showed a lot of applications, right? But they're all bits of pieces, and probably that's also kind of the answer, right? That it's not one solution for all. How do you guys see it? Just speak up. It would be interesting to hear the perspective from the audience as well, because there are a lot of people involved in this. Ja.
Ich möchte etwas dazu sagen, wenn ich etwas dazu sagen kann, vielleicht auf Deutsch, weil sonst habt ihr auch ein Riesenproblem. Deine Frage war ja, wie man das auf der Software-Seite löst. Man hat diese Vorstellung, die lösen das mit einem Button. Und dann hat sie geantwortet, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, ja, man hat dann die Idee, diesen einen Button zu finden, zu lösen, aber man muss sich dann an diese ganz verschiedenen Schnittstellen und Programme andocken, und dann sind diese traumhaften Softwareleute wieder in ihrer Lösung eingeschränkt. Und ich glaube, vielleicht als Input für so ein Hackathon, dass man eben dann versucht, eben irgendwo gibt es diesen ganz kleinen Nenner, oder, und dort ansetzt, oder, weil eben diese einzelnen Punkte so dermaßen noch verankert sind, vielleicht gerade auch in diesen kleinen Firmen, aber auch in den großen, das wird extrem schwierig, dann die Leute dahin zu bewegen, auch mal etwas dann aufzugeben und sagen, nein, das müssen wir jetzt einfach über Bord werfen und den neuen Ansatz verfolgen. Und dann ist es dann meistens so auch nicht mehr unbedingt ein Software oder ein Lösungsproblem, sondern dann einfach auch die Leute dazu bewegen, das zu tun. Ihr mögt euch an das Meeting, an das Teams-Meeting zurückerinnern. Da habe ich genau diese Rolle gespielt, oder? Weil ich mich dann schwer tue, oder als Maschinenhersteller, wir tun uns da schwer, uns da anzuschließen, weil wir gar nicht wissen, welcher dieser Punkte da dann das Ziel ist, oder?
Yeah, vielleicht kann ich kurz auch, can I say something to this as well? And I think the timber industry is special because you don't have like an abundance of different tools. And in the end, at least in Switzerland, all the companies work with very similar tools. So, and then what does it need that people change? I think we started this discussion now here, that also Marcus speaks up in a different way than he usually did, because he was always happy with what he got and he didn't feel like he would be empowered to do something else. And I think that's the change actually, that the users stand up and say, hey, we have different needs than what you offer right now, and how can we get there? And I think that changes a lot also in the open innovation mindset, that you as a user, you have a say in how the software works, and the software companies are actually happy to get the feedback, and then together you can kind of solve it.
I think also, like Michael, we just spoke about it, right? There's also this idea of reality checking the stuff, right? Because there's this perfect solution and you kind of like have this umbrella of promises, and you introduce it, and you were talking about that, and then at the end, after half a year, in the company nobody is kind of like following that change, or the process is so complicated that you have like to scan and map and then enter and then again copy paste and stuff like that, right? So so maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that, like what is your experience, because you also meet a lot of people with different workflows.
Yeah, I just want to highlight, like when you build tools, and in the end you can build like the most brilliant tool, but you need people that are willing to use that. Like if it's too complicated, it will die. Yeah.
That's a perfect message. Edita, what's your experience? I mean, you've been working for companies. You're now in academia. I'm super happy that you are, but you're bridging the whole thing. You guys are really an amazing dream team. What's your experience with like writing tools, promotes, like enabling? What's your perspective from like what's your message to the hackathon?
There's Michael Drobnik here from London, and so he's representing the group. I was working there. I started in 2011, so it was over 12 years ago. And back then we were writing like small solutions for projects. And I have to say that most of the architects were very ignorant to the technology, because back then in architecture it was perceived that technology is something which is against the quality of architecture, and perhaps that's why integration of these tools within the workflows was not so great. But currently I think that your processes are way better, and they are way better integrated into the normal workflow of people, so they don't see this digitalization. Just those tools help them to function, so this interface is much simpler. I was also doing some programming, or like some custom prototypical tools for ERNE. And there again, like the problem was to define the needs and who's the end user. So that was the bottleneck over there. We were trying to work with the tool that was not really commonly used by the office, right? So I think it was also a bottleneck. We should straight away start with cadwork. That was like everybody works with cadwork. So this is also like the problem with the integration. So therefore, I don't know, like I don't want to question like this whole premise that let's write our own tools, it's going to save the world. I really think it's about like what is the connection between the end user and the tool that he's working. And I think we should work with the available tools, not to create our own ones, but to work with the APIs of those softwares and make those improvements such that they don't cost too much of effort from the user, because this is always a stopper in the integration of those tools into the workflows. So that's my perspective.
A perfect closing argument. unless somebody from the audience wants to add something. But yeah, Ronnie is going to come back. That's so nice.
Thank you very much. So, Judith, I see you as one end of the spectrum, like the computer science woman, and Markus is, sorry to say, the other end of the spectrum, where your interface is email. We are currently in a phase of evaluating solutions kind of in the middle, like low code and no code solutions, where you visually model your processes, like in the Visio diagram. Would this help you? Like being able to define your processes without learning to code? Is this something you would love to use?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know the tool, but you have to show it. What we must be aware, we are in a prototype market. Each building is a prototype, and you have the guys like Gropyus who have the whole numeric chain in their own hands from scratch to building, and you have companies like Balteschwiler, and we always see only a part of the building, and we only build a part of the building, and we have to adapt to our clients. So it's good to have our internal workflow defined and on a visual board, but we always need the connection point to our client and to his workflow to make it happen. So good work.
Okay, so Max, you're gonna transition to the coffee break?
Exactly. Now we have a little coffee break. Let's meet again here in half an hour, 10 to 4, and then we continue with the second part of the symposium. Thank you very much. And coffee will be just outside.